All right, just kidding. Driver has left us. It was a lot of fun to have my old co-commentator here. Fun to switch things up as well. I was sitting over there. Now I'm sitting over here. My name's still left out, but this, of course, is Anatoly.
Well, up next we have Envy versus Allegiance, week number 8. Currently, Envy sitting at 7-13, Allegiance at 5-15. So it's a little bit rough for these two teams.
Sure.
A little bit of a roster changes for both teams right now.
Yeah, this is much more. This conversation is much less about who's going to go to DreamHack, and honestly, for me, a little bit less of who's going to win here, and just more about how the teams in general will improve with some of the changes that we've seen made.
Recently, Allegiance acquiring, weakening in the jungle position, trying to get that leadership that they were lacking a little bit. And Envy picking up Snoopy in the dual lane position, pairing up with Eonic. And unfortunately, MLC is out. Kiki's going to be in the mid lane position. We'll see how that's going to transition for them. They're a little bit rough earlier on in the weeks. Maybe this is the answer that they need for the rebuilding phase.
Weekend was largely known as a shot caller, a floor general, an in-game leader for his previous teams, most notably AFK, Melior Mariah, Envy, basically all the iterations of that team. He was really known as the vocal leader, some of the initiation coming out from him as well, jokes aside. And what Allegiance has really been struggling with this season has been that in-game leadership.
They definitely were lacking that leadership, and now hopefully Weekend is the answer that they need for the puzzles. Weekend and Incon together now, they have that frontline duo synergy that they need to have the initiation. Weekend is known for that heavy artillery initiation with the support utility jungle gods, whether it's the Kepri, Kumbhakarna, Odin, whatever. He does it.
Envy seemed to have had a problem where they had a whole bunch of star talent, a lot of good players, but nobody really in a strong spot for them to really be successful. We saw Omega sort of shift over to the jungle, Kiki shifting over to every position, and really the team struggled to really find some leadership by way of just the gameplay. Here, CycloneSpin's going to be in the jungle, which is a little bit new, but his god pool should dictate very strong otherwise, and everybody else in their natural position, Snoopy even in the hunter role.
Snoopy in the hunter role, but going back on CycloneSpin a little bit, he's very comfortable on the assassins. Unfortunately for Omega, he only got the win on the Hercules when he was playing the jungle position. Now with CycloneSpin there, his god pool is higher than most other players in the SPL, so it's a good transition. I feel like he transitioned well in the hunter position. He should transition well in the jungle as well. So I think this is going to be a good fix, especially bringing Snoopy on paired up with Eonic back in the good old TSM days.
That's the thing. We've got a number of interesting things coming out on both sides of the map. Even still in the picks and bans phase, we're going to take Envy versus Allegiance heading into P's and B's right about now.
Benji on his own, will they get the boot from the toggle here? A big time ultimate from Stealth Connects.
They've only gotten one so far. CycloneSpin finds a double. They're going to rush right in. Cyclone all the way to the back line. That's going to be a triple kill. He's going right for it. He's got the Quadra if he picks the right target. Quadra kill, looking for the big one, and it's going to be a penta.
Left side will be Team Allegiance. They'll go ahead and get the first pick and the first ban. Envy on the other side will be Chaos, and they'll wind up with 2.
So Weekend coming back for Allegiance. We'll see what junglers he'll elect to do. You know, he does have the logo for the Circuit. He likes the mobility gods with the Mercury as well. EnVyUs has a lot of experience with Weekend as well, so they should know that that's his comfort picks, and maybe they'll take that away from him. We'll see their banning strategies.
Weak Nation has recently rebranded. He's got a much different logo, but that is where Weekend made his name on that Circuit, and definitely where his first branding was really inspired by. So we know that Weekend does want to play that Circuit. We know that Weekend wants to play a lot of these characters that will benefit from the speed buff, honestly. So Weekend took sort of a hiatus as Envy released him earlier on in the season with a strange map, and now it's the old map that he's used to. Should this benefit Weekend very well?
It should with the speed buff, especially if he gets that the jungle pick, whether it's the Circuit, the high mobility jungle pick, Circuit, or the Mercury for the high burst damage. Scylla being locked in for Allegiance. Lassiz very comfortable with the high bursty mages. A lot of mages already off the table for Lassiz. EnVyUs is trying to limit his burst with the Giannis and the Zeus already off the table.
Now don't forget, as you said, Lassiz is going to be in the mid lane. There's very few players that I would like to chase Lassiz out of the jungle. Even Weekend, I'm a little trepidatious about that. But there's more junglers available than mid laners, so sure, take Weekend on board and move Lassiz over to the mid. As you said, Scylla, the burst mage is particularly what Lassiz plays well with.
Especially when your jungler, CycloneSpin, has a wide variety of the god pool. So taking Naja already off the table is EnVyUs. They're going to be able to set up Kiki in the mid lane with a lot of burst potential, whether that's going to be Soul middle or Soul in the dual lane, we'll see. We have seen Snoopy play Soul a lot in the past, so it wouldn't be a surprise if they flex that in the Hunter position.
I mean, with Snoopy on Envy, if you're newer to Snoopy, he brought Vulcan into the long lane. He's played a lot of non-hunters in the Hunter role, so don't expect, expect some odd picks. But with the Isis pick, I think it's a little bit more. I think it's a little bit more obvious that we'll see Soul in the Hunter role.
A lot of early aggression for EnVyUs, picking up the Naja and the Isis, especially if they go Soulstone, Purple Pot, and the Red Potion for Naja. They're going to do a lot of damage during the mid-camp fights, a lot of damage during the mid-lane contestant. And off the table for Allegiance, they're picking up Bellona, trying to take that away from Omega.
So the Nemesis ban, I understand why. Speed buff and Weekend work very well. Nemesis. Is there a different reason that we're missing here for the Nemesis ban?
The Nemesis ban, okay, so maybe they're going to look to play super aggressive with a support.
Okay.
Whether it's going to be the Sobek. Eonic really likes the Sobek a
Very
lot.
much
It could
so.
be a Bacchus as well. If you have the dual lane Bacchus, Soul, Sobek, Soul. Could be also Guan Yu Soul. This allows you to play very aggressive. You stack up the wave together. Soul can clear it easily with a Stellar Burst. And you can trade out Poke and have Guan Yu consistently heal up and Meditation heal as well.
Who you selected as the hunter of choice for Team Allegiance. So Oceans, again, put in a position where will be very, very aggressive. And Odin, to couple with the Hou-Yi and the Athena, should be a lot of damage that's inescapable.
It's a very smart pick in this situation because, number one, you have Guan Yu that can't get out. All these gods can't get out except for the Soul immunity frames once she can go through that. So Wukong also being picked. So a lot of these gods are actually very vulnerable to this Odin ultimate. Isis won't be able to heal. Guan Yu won't be able to heal as well. I'm really liking the strategy that Allegiance has come out with so far.
So with the Odin already picked, why do we see the Wukong?
With the Wukong, so it's basically in the solo lane. You're trying to get a lot of early aggression. Omega's been practicing it, and he wants to bring it back.
Allegiance and Envy now taking on each other. Two of the newer members on this team. Snoopy will be playing the hunter role for Envy, and Weekend will be in the jungle for Allegiance. We've got the same old people surrounding them as well. We'll take a look how it winds up in game number 1.
Looking for that detonate for the secure, and it's going to go to Allegiance. It's stolen. That might have been Incon.
No follow-up from the rest of Allegiance. Oh, there comes the Kraken. It's going to find 4. Lassiz takes out Panda.
Nice shots from Oceans as well. What in the hell was that?
Weekend will be on the Odin jungle. Now, this is a lot of fun. Mainly because everybody and their friends love to spam their 667 in chat. Some of you might not even know where it came from. Tolly, do you remember the story behind 667?
So originally, I forgot who he exactly was playing against, or which team rather it was, but Odin, jungler, Weekend, 667 damage, about the 20 to 21 minute mark. The player damage remained consistent on the left-hand side, and as soon as he got a little bit extra damage, everybody just kept spamming the extra damage.
But so Weekend, it was on this god. It was on Odin that he famously...
But not this skin.
No, not the Panda skin. But it was on Odin that Weekend famously did a abysmal amount of player damage. And I think this is probably the most Weekend thing possible. Hey, remember that time in the SPL that I did terribly? I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to come back a number of months later, and I'm going to play that god. I think this is the most Weekend thing you could possibly ask for in his first match back.
You can't allow certain things like that to bother you. You have to take it, learn from it, but at the same time, you can't let it affect you in the future.
And I loved how Weekend actually took that situation. You know, jokes aside, Weekend saw everybody making fun of him. It definitely wasn't in jest until Weekend took it upon himself, embraced it. That was the title of his stream the first night, made it into an emote, and now people say 667 just to say, yeah, that's Weekend, 667.
Sometimes you just have to laugh or cry about it, and that's what Weekend did. He laughed about it, and he made a meme out of it, basically. He took full advantage of it. Weekend rotating to the Fire Giant imp so far. favoring Allegiance in the early game. Both mid camps are up currently.
Definitely understanding the new jungle a little bit. Weekend provides that early pressure in the solo lane by way of the Odin burst, and it's able to translate into those early mid elementals and some mid harpies as well. As Allegiance heads over to the left side, Lassiz and Weekend combine to take out the left harps.
So Allegiance getting the left side harps. It looks like EnVyUs is going to be able to control the right side harpies, but those imps did go to Allegiance, so ever so slight lead. They're going to be able to hit level 5 on Weekend first, and they might be able to make a play with the Odin cage. Isis
is one of the characters that's a little bit more susceptible to trouble. Once that Odin cage drops down, no way for her to get out of there at all. Naja, same boat, but Naja's got a way out. He takes the ultimate up, and you can burn some time. Isis just sort of drops the ult and crosses her fingers.
And in the solo lane, Omega already getting poked out pretty heavily. Wukong struggles a little bit earlier on compared to Bellona, especially when you have that little bit of an experience lead. Mattypocket already level 4 because of those imps, and Omega has to lose some gold under the tower, which is going to hurt him in terms of finishing those boots, and then the next power spike, which is going to be finishing the breastplate for those cooldowns.
Allegiance has pressure all across the board. Mattypocket pushing Omega underneath the tower and has half a life bar above his opposition. And even over there in the long lane, in the mid lane, you still see Allegiance, blue team, pushing up, pushing up, pushing up.
And this is what Allegiance needs to do. They need to have this early game advantage, especially with Weekend hitting level 5, Lassiz hitting level 5. They're trying to take advantage of Omega. If they can put Mattypocket in a position where he can out-rotate him and control the mid-game tempo, get some gold furies, Allegiance will start controlling the pace of the game.
Omega's a little bit understanding that there's players here waiting for him. Weekend's going to show up. Omega doesn't seem to know just yet, but as he turns around, everything's on the table. And Omega will play it safe.
A little bit of hestation from Weekend. He didn't want to commit until Omega fully extended into the laning phase. And Omega, very veteran player, recognized that Weekend was missing, didn't want to overstep and not be able to retreat under his tower.
Double taunt on the long lane coming out from Incon. This will be enough for Oceans to deal some poke. But Eonic deals the poke back with Tallow Assault and puts Oceans down to about 75.
And even though there was a little bit of poke exchange favoring EnVyUs with the Guan use to stay, not even picking up meditation, the Guan, they want to play super aggressive and pick up the sprint so that they could be able to chase somebody down with a cavalry charge.
What's a fast horse?
It is very fast. It's amazing, some can say.
Weekend now staying on the offensive, looking for some help. Doesn't find the aggression onto the buff, but he gets CycloneSpin. That's the Naja response we were talking about. Waiting for him at the bottom will be the Athena, the taunt into Lassiz's damage, and that's first blood for Allegiance.
That was a really good play from Weekend, and that also, even though Weekend was taken up in the air, Kiki gonna have to use Sanctuary. Bellona also not connecting.
Beautiful stun coming out from the Isis. It doesn't seem to be enough as Omega finishes up Weekend on the backside. Mattypocket finishes up Kiki on the front.
And now Mattypocket has to be super careful. Using his teleport brilliant, recognizing he can't get away from Omega. What a beautiful play. So the way it started out there was Weekend initiated onto CycloneSpin, and even though CycloneSpin took Weekend into the air, that bought enough time for Lassiz to get in there with his ultimate, getting the first blood onto CycloneSpin. What Cyclone needed to do was wait for somebody on the outside of the cage and use the sash to stun through the Odin ultimate.
Fortunately for Allegiance and their fans, so they put themselves on the board very easily. And I think that first blood is the impact of having Weekend on your team. And for twofold, not only does Weekend make the shot call to go for that kill, but Weekend's able to initiate on that kill and set Lassiz and Incon up to get that hit.
He's not afraid to make the plays, no matter how risky it is. They were playing against EnVyUs' speed buff side, and they took the risk, and it paid off for them so far.
Allegiance in a much better spot, in my personal opinion, than they have been in a number of weeks, just with this Weekend acquisition, honestly.
And with that, they're getting more Fire Giant Imps. They're controlling the mid side pretty well. They have to respect the Odin cage. There's not many people from EnVyUs that can get out of it.
It's another level for the Panda Man. 7 on the jungle. Mattypocket also going to reach 7, but he's chased out and forced out of an ultimate, thanks to the rotation from CycloneSpin in the jungle. Now, CycloneSpin is another player that I'm really, really looking at. He's not new to the team, but he's new to professional level jungle. What about his solo play do you think will translate into the jungle?
He's played a lot of assassins in the solo lane. He's played the Ao Kuang. He's played even Thor in the solo lane. Back in the day, he also used to experiment with the Naja as well. So he's very familiar with all the gods. Even like back in the day, in Season 1, he would play Vulcan, in the solo lane. So even mages as well. So we might see some mages coming out of him in the future, as we do see Allegiance starting the Gold Fury.
Very low already, 50%. There's the ultimate from Oceans and a follow-up. Envy steals it away thanks to Snoopy's fantastic Supernova. So Allegiance, even with the Odin ult down, wouldn't have stopped the Supernova. Allegiance tried to make the smart play and go for the early gold, but Envy answers correctly, take it away, and now they lead by 500.
Allegiance started the Gold Fury in a good spot. Unfortunately, they didn't have Lassiz in position to secure it without a monster. Also, they used the Odin Bird Bomb at the beginning of the Gold Fury instead of towards the ending for the secure.
That's really what I saw there as well. Allegiance probably could have prioritized their abilities and their basics a little bit better. Envy wind up with the Gold Fury. The first Gold Fury of the game, actually, as we're very early on in this one, just 6.5 deep.
That would have put Allegiance in a pretty good spot trying to transition. Like I mentioned, they need those early game plays because EnVyUs is very experienced together. I expect the duel lane between Eonic and Snoopy to play very aggressive, like I mentioned, trying to bully out Oceans in the beginning of the game. So everybody from Allegiance needs to get that early game lead.
Weekend now being aggressed on by CycloneSpin. Grab with the ultimate. Lassiz will be waiting at the bomb, and smartly, Eonic going to go ahead and zone out everybody else to help help the help onto Weekend.
There was no way to save Weekend there. There was 4 people on him. Well, actually 3 with Eonic zoning out the other 2. Lassiz was not going to position himself to use I'm a Monster getting hit by Guan.
And that's very intelligent play because the downside of Najai is everybody's waiting for you at the bottom, and you know you're setting yourself up. Lassiz could have easily went into the ultimate and taken out CycloneSpin, but Eonic made sure that wasn't an option. Everybody else has the damage handled. Eonic's going to go ahead and space out.
If he wanted to commit to even trying to kill CycloneSpin, the Guan Yu cavalry charge would have done probably 80% of his health alone, and then any sort of follow-up would have secured another kill onto Lassiz, and then it would have been a 2 for maybe 1 trade.
Envy take that kill they find in the enemy jungle, and they transition that into a blue buff steal as well. So Allegiance solo lane now in some trouble. Omega in some trouble of his own. He's forced into the ultimate, half HP already. But Lassiz and Weekend want to fight. Jumping in and caging down. CycloneSpin here. Looking for the shot as Lassiz can't find the stop. Needs to find it. There it is. Not enough to take out CycloneSpin. But Bellona jumps forward and one shot. Mattypocket takes Cyclone out after a large amount of damage from Lassiz.
And now a lot of members from EnVyUs are very low. Oceans does rotate, raining down the Suns. Another victim is Kiki. So far, it is a 2-for-0 exchange in favor of Allegiance, even though they did lose their blue buff. Now, EnVyUs is going to lose their Tier 1 tower.
Well played. Love the decision-making coming out of Allegiance there. Oceans makes the rotation, knowing that Gold Fury's down. They can't be punished on the other side of the map. However, this side of the map, quite a different story. Envy with the turnaround, looking for some kills. Omega shows up with Incon. Omega shows up, but it's not enough as Incon ults into the conversation, and Allegiance wind up with their 5th kill, putting Omega down for the first time.
EnVyUs thought that they can find somebody slipping in there, but they forgot to take into consideration the global presence out of Allegiance. Athena provides a lot of defense and damage mitigation during Defender of Olympus. However, EnVyUs is able to split push in the meantime. Oceans had a really good rotation for that solo lane push, but when you leave Snoopy alone, now he's level 12. He's getting your Tier 1 tower very low, already 10%, and he has a level advantage on you.
Yeah, you know, I said Envy wasn't able to pick up anything on the left side of the map after Ocean's rotation, and as far as the objectives are concerned, they can't. Snoopy picked up a set of boars, but that's neither here nor there. But what is the impact? Look at the difference in the gold totally between the 2 hunters.
That's a pretty substantial lead considering the fact that you did get Gold Fury earlier on, but it was pretty early in the game, so that doesn't consider too much of that. It's just basically the fact that Oceans gets rotated on and also lost a little bit of gold on their tower based on the early aggression from the Guan Yu soul that they were doing.
Envy now, a little bit, well, everything's all even actually. Allegiance technically leading the game, but everything's all said and done,
And
all
that's
tied
with them
up.
losing Gold Fury as well.
Yep.
They started the Gold Fury, they lost it. They're still relatively even at this point in time, even losing blue buff earlier on. Allegiance looking to play very aggressive with this Athena dash taunt, which can easily set up a lot of follow-up damage to Scylla.
Yeah, you can see Incon waiting, going to lead the charge, and Envy shows up. And they get a little bit of damage, but not everything that Allegiance was hoping for. Jumping forward is weakened. More in an effort to escape than aggress. Eonic takes a bunch of his HP for it, but he's Guan Yu, and he should be able to heal up.
A little bit of hesitation from Weekend. He popped the shield. He didn't want to commit with a jump as well, putting himself in an awkward position. He didn't feel confident recognizing that there would be a guaranteed kill onto Eonic, especially with the sustain and his cavalry charge. Catching Eonic in a dash.
And catching Eonic in the ring as well. That's going to be a stack for Weekend's passive. and one quick kill onto Eonic, ultimate or not.
It's really important building that Odin passive, establishing 5 power per stack that allows you to build Odin relatively tanky, and you're still relying on your passive to bring you that sort of damage, especially early to mid game when not that many members on the enemy team are tanky enough. And we do have engagement forcing Kiki Sanctuary, and now looks like Lassiz is going to survive.
CycloneSpin might not, though. Jumping in from the backside is going to be the Hunter, but Ocean's taking Snoopy on 1v1. Sanctuary popped, and that's enough. Weekend not able to find the kill onto anybody in the mid lane either, but Omega here playing offensive, able to go ahead and pick up the enemy blue buff.
And that's the one advantage you have in the solo lane. Whenever your team is ahead and you manage to steal the solo laner's blue earlier on, you always have the timer available, so you know when to play aggressive. That 30 to 45 second window before it respawns, you play super hyper aggressive, you try to win the poke exchange, force the Bellona to back, and then you steal the blue as the Bellona teleports back in.
Red buff available for Allegiance should they want to go in that direction. Oceans will clear up the boars, and that's exactly what Allegiance want to do. I'm curious to see who it goes to here, because we've seen red buff usually been given to the Hunters early on, depending on the team, but this one looks like it's going to be left for Lassiz.
No, it's actually going to be picked up by Oceans. Now, the thing is, when you hit the ricochet and it double taps, and we do have Eonic caught again into the ring cage, looks like he'll be fine, though. The Allegiance is going to disengage.
Strong ultimate from Snoopy to create the separation needed to allow Envy to be a little bit safer. Ocean's going to jump over the wall as well. So what looked like a very easy kill for Allegiance to go ahead and clean up. Envy intelligently play and create the space thanks to the ultimate from Soul.
They were relying on the ricochet from Oceans to do a lot of damage. The goal fear has been started from EnVyUs. Weekend is going to need to steal this with a Bird Bomb combo. Isis ult is procced.
25% on the objective. In comes Weekend. Envy are able to take it out, but Weekend in some trouble now. Ultimate off the mark from CycloneSpin, and with the help of Incon, it's just not enough. Cyclone winds up with the kill on top of it. Lassiz takes out Cyclone off of the ultimate from the Scylla, but it's a 1-for-1 exchange. Allegiance wind up on the bottom of that as Envy take out the objective.
Unfortunately, not able to find the second kill off of the reset. Eonic jukes it out a little bit there. 1-for-1 trade. Allegiance losing the second Goal Fury. A little bit of a lead to EnVyUs, but it's not the end of the world. Now, the thing is, how is Allegiance going to capitalize off of the kill onto CycloneSpin? Because even though Weekend died as well, he's going to respawn a little bit faster, and he's going to be able to get a little bit more golden experience off of waves, so it allows him to play catch-up. And now, during that whole process, Omega's able to get the Soul Lane Tower and keep his up alive as well.
Just barely, though. What is that? Maybe a basic attack left for that solo lane tower?
If Matty wanted to, he can walk in, dash towards the tower, get 2 in-hands off, and then if he gets in really tight situation, the Athena could ulti on top of him, and he should be able to escape as well. And you kind of need to make this play happen when you're a little bit behind. You don't want to allow the enemy team to get these small advantages without you responding in one way or another. And when that tower is that low,
yeah,
you have to go for it. Yeah, as long as you have a relatively safe ward and you know where 3 members are, then you could literally survive 1v2 as a Bellona solo laner.
Well, Matty not looking for it. Incon, however, looking for Kiki. Silence out. The veteran Isis player on the mark there with the silence. So Incon not able to provide any initiation needed.
So the later this game goes right now for Weekend, the less efficient he's going to become. He's going to need to keep making these plays in the 3v3 situation to allow Lassiz to get off his damage. He's currently a very high level right now, level 14 compared to Kiki's level 12. So the burst is really high. Kiki likes to play a lot of utility middles as well, picking Isis just for the circular protection and the anti-burst answer towards the Scylla. Omega, for the 3rd time in a row, going to steal Matty's blue buff.
Yeah, no surprise here. Omega, one of the more dominant players in North America. Obviously didn't show that in the jungle, but with the return to the solo lane, definitely more of the Omega that we're used to seeing. Mattypocket has been very strong in his learning and how well he's been able to improve, but Omega is a world-class solo laner, and he's certainly shown it.
Especially when you have your team to set you up for that first initial blue buff steal, then you can transition that for the rest of them by yourself, and that's how you take advantage of it. You know what you can get away with, and you know when you have to retreat. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, in the Hunter position, Snoopy's 2 levels ahead as well, so the EnVyUs side lanes are doing really well.
There's Incon looking for the Lassiz damage, but again, Eonic finds the spacing needed. No ultimate hit from the Scylla, as CycloneSpin gets taken to the sky thanks to his ultimate. Incon half HP. Allegiance now largely poked out, and their onslaught onto EnVyUs shows to be not successful.
Circular protection was used, popped it a little bit too early though during the Odin ultimate. That duration of those 2 circles last quite a while. Unfortunately, didn't last a while for the ISIS. Wasn't having the sustain. However, EnVyUs here with his sustain, so this is going to allow EnVyUs to put pressure onto Allegiance Tier 1 tower. They're not going to go further. They're just going to be content with stealing the speed buff and getting the right side mid Harpies in response.
Speed buff not even going to be stolen as Wukong shows himself over here. Just a lot of burst on Allegiance's side. Envy, of course, looking to make the fights last as long as possible. Quite the opposite for Allegiance. Good knockup from Omega and a better stun from Kiki. 3 players are stuck out thanks to Lassiz's root, but it's not going to be enough as Envy will be able to walk away.
Allegiance needs to put on the pressure here because a lot of relics were used from EnVyUs. They need to take advantage of the fact that the Sanctuary was... Actually, no, the Sanctuary wasn't used. I thought it was indeed used by ISIS in that earlier exchange.
Now, see, here's the biggest differences between these two compositions, Totally, is Allegiance wants to make these fights over in 5 to 10 seconds. They want burst, 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 burst. Envy, they could last a half hour. They got to go on you. It's really not that much of a concern the longer these fights go on if you're an Envy fan.
And now Omega's going to be able to dash away. He's not going to get caught on the Odin ring cage. Left side mid Harpies getting started from Allegiance. Looks like EnVyUs doesn't really care. They're going to be pushing the mid wave and then resetting as their speed and blue buff are up. Gold Fury's not responding for another 40 seconds, so they can leave this side of the map vacant for a little while.
The player damage coming out from Omega's son Wukong. Just so much poke being able to dish out. Here he's going to find some more with a knockup of his own. Wukong not stunned out. The Spirit Ball detonated a little bit too early, and Allegiance able to walk away.
So Scylla used her 3 through the right side mid Harpies. EnVyUs could have potentially taken advantage of that by committing in that mid fight exchange. If that Spirit Ball connected onto Wukong, he was going to be very exposed, having no follow-up damage from the Scylla. So blue buff being taken for Omega again.
17.5 on the clock. 7-3 read the kills, and this one's been a pretty tight one. Still the first game of 2. 1,000 gold in favor of EnVyUs. Very small lead for the squad that has recently brought Snoopy back to the SPL, and he's been relatively quiet as well.
He's been relatively quiet for now. He's level 18, however, very quietly. Once these teamfights start to open up and explode in the later stages of the game, this soul is going to be doing a lot of damage. Also having red buff currently, she's going to want to put pressure onto the dual lane, maybe poke out Oceans, and then in response go for a Gold Fury as it has respawned. And now at this point in time, Gold Fury becomes way more valuable. And if EnVyUs gets this next Gold Fury, it's not going to look good for Allegiance.
Exactly. Right now, you can call the game almost tied up. With the next Gold Fury, that's a much different situation. That 1K gold mark, I want you to talk to me from a player's perspective. That 1K gold mark, right? It is technically a lead, but it feels more like a tie game, no?
It depends on what stage of the game it is. At 18 minute mark right now, that 1,000 gold lead means nothing. If that was around the 2 to 5 minute mark, that 1,000 gold lead is like, okay, something's going wrong. Where are they getting this advantage from, and how can we stop them? Are they stealing buffs from us? Are they stealing the mid Harpies? Do we not have the control? What can we get in response to them taking rights? Can we get lefts?
But here it's more about the larger chunks of gold. The Gold Fury specifically is Envy. Group up as 4, aggress onto it, and leave Omega to play zone. While doing so, Omega winds up being chunked down all the way down to 50% HP, and the dance is started. Envy has the better positioning as far as where they're standing at, but Allegiance coming out, they're spread out, but they're looking for that 1-2 punch. Over the top comes Wukong. Snoopy isolated, and Snoopy's going to be taken out. Mattypocket with credit for that, but bonus damage to the Odin. Omega barely going to escape thanks to the ultimate, and now Envy, they've got 3 players on the left side. They're silenced out. They're going to be aggressed on. The shell is popped, but will it be enough? Mattypocket's got tons of HP, and Kiki does not. 9 kills in total. Ocean's on top of that one. CycloneSpin will be chased out, but Allegiance will retreat and look directly for the objective.
This is exactly what Allegiance needed. That blink Scylla play from Lassiz getting the root was what they needed to close out the fight. The taunt set up onto Snoopy allowed a lot of burst damage, forced the Sanctuary, forced the Purification. However, he was just too far exposed, Snoopy. A little bit out of position.
Exactly, and those are the engagements that Allegiance want to go for. We talk a lot about pace of the game and what does that mean. This is what that means. Allegiance wants the pace of the game to go bing, bang, boom, zip, zap, zop. They want to go ahead and start things up immediately. And as soon as they start it, they want to end it too, Totally.
And EnVyUs needs to respect that and have to play a little bit more back as Eonic gets caught out in the cage against 5 members from Allegiance.
Jump, damage, done, son. Lassiz puts number 10 on the board for Allegiance. They double digits, and they're looking for a mid lane tower as well.
They get the tower, they get another stack onto Wukong as well, building up that physical power. Not having the Guan use sustain is going to allow Allegiance to continue this onslaught. Athena's looking for the dash taunt to set up Scylla here. Gets a double taunt.
Dash taunt sets up Scylla also. sets up a number of other players. Snoopy gets dashed into. Mattypocket with number 11 for Team Eager. Mattypocket very low, but help out is Incon. And the damage protection will work out. Weekend now zoning and creating some space for his team to take out the Tier 2 tower. That's 2,000 gold in total as Legion takes out Tier 1 and Tier 2 in quick succession. Lassiz wants to turn it around, but just uses the ultimate defensively.
He doesn't even care about firing it off right now. The goal for Allegiance is to spend their gold in hand. Lassiz is sitting at currently 1,700 gold. They might lose their Tier 1 in response. Lassiz is getting caught by CycloneSpin.
And that's honestly, that's just sloppy. That can't really happen if you're Allegiance backing in vision of the enemy underneath the tower. You understand that Envy have a number of long-range abilities. That's just, I mean, unfortunate is putting it lightly, Tolly.
Yeah, the Blink Naja caught Lassiz off guard there. They definitely wanted to spell the gold in hand after getting Tier 1 mid, Tier 2 mid, getting the Gold Fury as well. And just basically, they needed to spend the gold in hand. And now they're going to play in a 4v5 disadvantage, allowing EnVyUs to control a little bit more of the map and get them back into the game.
Despite that situation over in mid lane, it's still quite Allegiance's game at the moment, leading by almost 4,000, 3.5 to be a little bit more precise, 11-4 as well. So Allegiance, they've put themselves in a position to win this game. They look a lot better than they have in recent memory. And honestly, again, I never point to a single individual. It's very rare that a single individual allows a team to go ahead and win or change a team so drastically. But Weekend has been a big part of this one for me.
The way he's just setting up these team fights, as well as Incon, like we mentioned, they used to play together back in EnVyUs, back in AFK. The way they're frontlining right now is allowing Lassiz to get off this easy amount of damage. The root into the crush, the ultimate as well, is just perfect 3v3 that they have currently.
This is also a much different Incon than we've seen the entirety of Season 3. This is classic Incon. This is why people know Incon's name, because of his ability to follow up with almost in the nick of time, just almost instantly.
And now with that, they're still trying to extend their lead. Ocean's going to bully out Snoopy because there's a lot of rotations coming out for Allegiance. Tier 1 tower falling in the dual lane. They're going to try to get this Tier 2. Looks like EnVyUs a little bit out of position to defend this, however.
Yeah, it's a 4-on-4. Mattypocket dancing over there in the mid lane with his other opponent solo laner. Matty and Omega have just rotated from the right to the mid. I love to see this, that the solo lane never wants to let the enemy go. And talk to me a little bit about that mentality.
So the mentality, it depends also on, the teleports. Of like, if I have teleport up and you don't, I'm going to make sure that I poke you out and that I can rotate. So that way you're going to have to be delayed in that as well.
Because a lot of times we'll watch those solo laners fight in solo lane specifically so nobody can rotate. Kiki in some trouble. Kiki's gone. Oceans gets a kill in Weekend's ring.
And now with that, Odin is going to consistently target Kiki. Kiki's already level 15, or still level 15. Meanwhile, Lass is level 18, close to 19 in this position. Kiki's going to keep falling further behind because these ultimate timers for Weekend are significantly lower than the Isis ultimates. It does give you protections. It's not going to give you the heal during the Odin ultimate, and she's going to be a very easy target. The Sanctuary and the Purification were used, so the next time Kiki respawns, that's Allegiance's target.
5 members from Allegiance on the left side of the map. 1 coming from around the back. Here comes Odin. Weekend's going to jump directly on a 3. There's a fair amount of damage. The slow as well going to work out. Meanwhile, on the front side, Ocean's just barreling into the tower. Eonic half HP along with Omega, but a meditation and a heal makes Envy look a little bit more healthy.
A lot of relics were used. Omega's in the cloud, just healing up a little bit. Not going to re-engage. Incon getting poked out. They're still using the Guan use sustain. The Odin ultimate is available, however, as Bellona goes in.
There's the jump on in, surrounded by the ring. A lot of damage being dealt to Envy, but Incon forced outside. Great sash coming out from CycloneSpin as Ocean's forced down into half HP. Mattypocket in some trouble. Envy coming up Millhouse in this team fight, and Mattypocket's going to fall for the first time this game. Snoopy on top of the solo laner.
And like we mentioned, the way EnVyUs' team plan is based around is the Guan use sustain. Allegiance getting poked out earlier on in that team fight. They weren't able to keep up with EnVyUs, even though the Isis wasn't available to them. Before the Isis got there from the respawn, a lot of relics were used. The shell was used, the meditation was used, the spirit was used, so there was no way for Allegiance to disengage from that encounter.
And I'm very happy that EnVyUs is going to go ahead and follow up what they're doing here, find a couple of kills, and then look directly towards the objective. An ultimate out of the Ho Yi and a good taunt, but it's just not enough to secure. But Allegiance do exactly what they came to do in force. Envy off of the Gold Fury.
And the thing is here, EnVyUs respects Incon's ability to steal Gold Fury. Incon known as one of the best players to steal Gold Fury, and even though he went in 1v3, also getting a double taunt here for Lassiz.
And that's big. Lassiz from the side finds one. Up in the ultimate, looking for Kiki. He'll fall out of the wing guns, and he'll fall into the damage. 1183 on that ultimate. Snoopy follows up and takes out one, but it's just too late. 3 members down to Envy, 1 on Allegiance's side, and the Gold Fury is going to be started again by the Blue Squad.
Gold Fury is looking really sweet for Allegiance at the 26-minute mark. It looks like Omega and Eonic are going to try to do something about it as Weekend is going to zone. Allegiance need to secure this Gold Fury to get this kind of a lead.
Very
as
low.
Weekend does drop the ultimate.
Allegiance get the Gold Fury. This time they secure a little bit more on the mark. 2 Gold Furies to 3. Envy, or 2 to 2. So Envy go ahead and able to suffer as they look at their opponent taking out the Gold Fury. Allegiance now leading by about 6,000 gold.
Now, even though EnVyUs weren't successful in terms of stealing that Gold Fury,
Right.
they were positioning themselves like they're not going to make it comfortable Gold Fury. They don't want Allegiance to burst it real quickly and then maybe transition into Fire Giant real quick because they still had 3 members down for EnVyUs, so they had to play really careful and use their numbers very wisely.
So just making sure that Allegiance spend their time doing something that isn't as powerful as a Fire Giant is really all Envy was
The less
trying to
valuable objective, which was Gold Fury,
Yep.
more time was spent there, so that way there was no possibility to do a 5v2 Fire Giant play.
Cyclone sticks his nose into where the Fire Giant is, making sure that Allegiance aren't aggressing on it just yet. As the vision control is in the direction of Allegiance, you can see their ward right there underneath the Fire Giant.
So Eonic recognizing the plays for Allegiance, you know, the dash taunts, picking up the Spirit Rope, going to be able to mitigate a lot of the follow-up damage from Lassiz as well. And this is something that they need to do. They can't allow themselves to group up for the taunt into the root crush combo. They need to bait out Eonic here, which is he's very comfortable doing in this position with the Spirit Rope, with the shell as well, with his sustain. And as long as he's the only one that gets taunted into the damage, then EnVyUs can easily rebound from that engage and then counter.
Lassiz wants to rebound on his own. He went ahead and dropped for the second time this game, but he's looked absolutely fantastic. Just a hair underneath top player damage. Certainly the top on his own team. 5 kills, 8 assists. He's been a very large part of this. A part of 13 out of 15 total kills. So definitely, 12, excuse me. So definitely not anything to shake a stick at. Speed buff will be stolen. Weekend will pick it up one more time. And now Envy, they're on the back foot as Allegiance pushing up their positioning here on the right side of the map.
Lassiz is a very momentum-based player, and he's very comfortable right now playing the Scylla and comfortable with Incon setting him up. He's very comfortable to the point where he even picked up a Blink. Normally, you don't see this coming out of mid laners, especially like a Scylla, for example.
Now, normally you don't see this coming out of mid laners not named Lassiz. Lassiz has done this Blink before, and it's because of, like you said, this momentum-based play. Lassiz, once he gets a kill, it very rarely stays at 1 or 2, usually winds up in the 5 situation, and that's where we see Lassiz right now, but a strong ring out of CycloneSpin is going to push Allegiance back, and Eonic's going to push forward, and a strong ring out of Weekend this time around stops Envy in their tracks. Very well played by the jungler.
Nowhere for Snoopy or Kiki to go, and therefore
Backside.
there was no follow-up.
Eonic gets hit onto the ultimate. CC immunity too strong for the Naja, but Laz is off the mark as well. Ocean starts the party off by taking out the support. CycloneSpin tried to flank, and now he's in trouble. Surrounded by Allegiance members, Snoopy's able to take out Oceans on the front side, and CycloneSpin survives for just another second where Mattypocket takes him out before Omega answers correctly. 2 for 2, and everybody's retreating.
CycloneSpin bought enough time for the rest of EnVyUs to get an easy pick onto Oceans, overextended just a little bit, and now EnVyUs on the 3v3 chase just a little bit. They don't have the sustain from the Guan, but they have the CC available from the Isis. Isis overextended a little bit, the Blink ultimate on top of her.
And now Kiki's in some trouble. Jumped on top, crushed on bottom, and Lassiz winds up on the good side of that one. 6 kills in total for the mid laner on Allegiance. He has been looking very good with his shift back into mid lane. Spent a couple of weeks in the jungle, but he's right on back, and it's like he hasn't missed a beat.
There's a lot of distance covered by that Blink Odin. You have to respect it, especially when you have no escape like the Isis does. When you get caught out like that, especially 30 minutes into the game, that 5v4 power play that Allegiance can do can easily force another Fire Giant fight, and then the Odin ultimate will catch maybe Eonic again, and then it's going to be a 5v3, and then another Fire Giant play.
5v everything. That's the conversation for Allegiance. Just look at their slash lines down the line. Incon with the absolute perfect support slash line, 1-0 and 17, 100% kill participation. And then you move over to Lassiz. He's got 15 out of 18 kills. You move over to in the jungle, Wukong. He's got 14 out of 18 kills, as well as the solo lane. The solo lane and the hunter are the lowest down, and the solo lane has 10 out of 18. And then even look at Oceans. He's looking very strong with 12. So all of these players on Allegiance have been local and in the conversation for a lot of these team fights, and none of them have been alone. Incon has always been there at a moment's notice. That's the biggest change for Allegiance for me. They're playing as a unit.
And playing as a unit, they're trying to aggressively position themselves around EnVyUs' speed buff. They're looking for another Odin cage. It's a very simplistic strategy, but it's constantly working for them. It depends on who they catch out. Dash taunt onto Omega.
I mean, this is the entire strategy coming out from Allegiance. It's really just weaken, initiate. And much like 667, it's something that people were talking negatively about, but he was able to turn it around. And honestly, weaken initiating is the reason that Allegiance are in this position.
Allegiance follows up off of Weaken's initiations is more importantly. Anyone can initiate, but you have to make sure you time your initiations very accordingly. Weaken holding on to his cage right now.
Just making sure to use it exactly when he needs to. Oceans drops the ultimate on the right side of the tower, looking for space, but it's just not given to him. Envy just walk right on through and hang on the left side. And a very strong play from Envy to stand their ground despite being down about 6,000 gold.
Both teams are playing chicken right now. They want to see who's going to go in first.
Here comes
Getting
Weekend.
an easy kill onto Kiki as the Odin cage is onto the tier 2 tower.
And it's going to lock 2 players in and keep 3 players on the other side of the ring. There's Lassiz off the mark, but in Ocean certainly not. 2 kills for the rookie hunter. Great taunt coming out from Incon. Lassiz finds the kill. Blackjack. Allegiance hits 21, and they're going to keep walking up that right side lane. Shell is popped. Meditation will bring them up, and the right side Phoenix will be strong, and it's going down.
So now it's a 5v2 power play. Allegiance, they're going to go for the win.
Oh, yeah.
The ultimate was used. Defender of Olympus was used on top of this Titan. Allegiance is looking for their win against EnVyUs right here.
This is the strong one. There's a number of towers up, so the Titan will be a little bit more robust than players are used to. Half HP on the Titan. CycloneSpin does what he can, takes out Mattypocket, but still, there's the Odin ring. If you like it, put a ring on it. Oceans takes out Omega, and the team takes out the Titan. This one goes the way of Allegiance.
With the Odin onto Weekend, the way he's just setting up his whole team, the blink onto Lassiz, the dash taunts coming out of Incon, they're playing with a very cohesive strategy that they've executed, and this is because they acquired the leadership with Weekend.
That's really what I wanted to bring attention to, bringing up just the kill participation. Not many kills were brought to you solo. Let's take a look at First Blood as we see how this game came together. And again, many members of the same team. It's basically a team fight. Laz is winding up with the First Blood. And then Mattypocket really made a big part of this as well. The solo laner playing Bellona. Above Omega, who is one of the highly lauded as one of the best solo laners in the world, Mattypocket had an extravagant game.
He did. He initiated when he needed to with his ultimate, killing CycloneSpin in this clip, and he was able to, even though he was denied blue buff multiple times, he was still into the game because of the way his team played and the way they needed him to play as well.
Yeah, Mattypocket coming through the double kill there, and then the Pickler still keeping forward and just able to provide that sort of double front line that Bellona excels so well at. She doesn't have much true CC on her own outside of the ultimate, so being coupled with a god like Odin, who doesn't have much true CC on his own outside of the ultimate, they're able to combine, provide some slows, provide some damage, and the Odin-Bellona combo just drives the opponent into a spot where they can't really deal with it.
And even though the Bellona was doing a lot in that mid stages of the game earlier on, Snoopy was doing a lot of work for EnVyUs as well, having a huge experience lead over Oceans. The aggressiveness from Eonic and Snoopy during the laning phase allowed Snoopy to get a very high level and do a lot of damage into these team fights.
And unfortunately for Snoopy, his squad wasn't able to win the game for him. But we did see a couple of good plays coming out from Snoopy, although honestly largely quiet. Snoopy wound up with a handful of double kills really when it mattered. Here you see Snoopy just take out Mattypocket, really for staying a little bit too long. But I think we'll see a couple of more kills where it really mattered. Here's Envy, where Snoopy steals the Gold Fury as well. So Snoopy was able to impact this game positively, but perhaps not as much as he needed to.
As a team, Allegiance played better with the taunts. EnVyUs getting caught out. They couldn't use the Guan use sustain to their advantage as the team fights lasted a little bit too short for them.
A little bit rough.